Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome back to the biggest Man United fan channel in the land. This is the United Stand. Kev Ashford back in the hot seat. It is Thursday. I will just let you know very quickly, Mark Goldbridge is in the Goldbridge arms. Apparently there are some kind of reports coming out that Mark fell asleep on the bar. The bartender tapped him and said, Mark, you know, wake up. And Mark woke up. The bartender said, you've only had half a pint, Mark. You know, what is going on? So we'll leave Mark to his night off. Obviously, England are playing. We'll get updates on that. But in terms of Manchester United and where we're at this evening, we've got plenty to discuss. A lot of Manchester United players are away on international duty, and we're going to look at that. Obviously, Mazraoui, we've got Martinez, these supposed injuries. We will look into that. I wanted to bring in the fact that Ineos have apparently come out and said that 17 million is the figure to basically get rid of Ten Hag. So there's reports surfacing saying that this evening. Ten Hag's best and worst signings. We're going to try and get it down to a 3. We'll get a poll running, get you interactive. So make sure you're getting your super chats. Make sure you get into what I always call as the United Stand Ultra Chat. It is Thursday. Great to see so many of you in the chat. And thank you very much for everybody that's saying, Kev Army, you know, that's what it's all about. And I've not been on, you know, the Thursday night show in quite some time. So it'll take me a second to find me rhythm. But we get into that. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the show. And yeah, let's get straight into this. So the first one we had today in terms of Manchester United news was on Mazraoui. And as you might be aware, if you're not aware, it did seem that when this news first come out that it was quite a kind of scary one, especially when you're talking about the heart and heart palpitations. Obviously, you think of what happened to a player like Christian Eriksen. You go down that route. But the news that come out was that Mazraoui has successfully undergone minor precautionary corrective procedure after experienced palpitations, which, like I say, when you actually anything to do with the heart or anything like that, it does seem, you know, quite worrying. At the same time, when I heard that Mazraoui, at that point, I'm hearing that Mazraoui was injured, so I'm kind of looking and thinking, for God's sake, man, the curse of the injuries at Manchester United is the last thing we need. But Fabrizio Romano was quick to obviously get involved in the media side of things, saying this is a relatively common condition, as he's expected to make a full recovery and be available for selection within the next few weeks. What that does pose is the fact that Mazraoui is probably not going to be available for the Brentford game, which in itself is pretty much a travesty. I know in the grander scheme of things, you wish the player well, player welfare, you kind of say, get back to it, and we'll see you back there out on the pitch sometime. But especially in a problem position for United, you know, it begs so many questions that if Mazraoui is going to be missing at right back, you would assume that Dalot goes back in at right back. And let me know exactly your thoughts on this, because obviously after this international break, the next game will be Brentford, which again there is no tough games in the Premier League, but Mazraoui missing, if Fabrizio Romano is saying that he's not going to be available within the next couple of weeks, that would rule him out for Brentford. And again, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news here on the Thursday night show. I do like to raise the spirits, but we do cover the news because it's top of, you know, a news type sort of ship here that we run. We certainly like to bring all the latest news to you. But yeah, I mean, it really is a problem area. I mean, if Mazraoui is not going to play against Brentford, then you would expect that Dalot is going to play at right back, which then throws up this question, which has been the huge headache at Manchester United, this left back position. We already know that Luke Shaw is injured. We know that Malacia is injured. Who plays at left back? Does Lisandro Martinez get a game at left back? Because from what I've seen of him, considering he played there a number of times for Ajax back in his Ajax career, don't like the look of it. I do not like Lisandro Martinez at left back. And don't get me started on that. In fact, at this moment in time, you look at a lot of these players, even Lisandro Martinez at centre-back isn't actually performing. So how could you be asking him to do a job on that left-hand side? Does it open the door for a Victor Lindelof to come in? He did come on against Aston Villa, did well. Could he fill in at left-back? You know, we have seen him fill in at left-back before at Manchester United, but it is a major, major concern. You've got youngsters in that team that are left-backs. One of the main kind of questions from this comes down to, why did United let Fernandes go? You know, there was talk today that Manchester United do have a buyback. I'm not sure that's something they would exploit and look to do at this moment in time, but at least you had a natural defender in that position. We've left ourselves very, very lightweight. If you look at the current injuries at United, and it is alarming, it's almost Groundhog Day. We're almost going back to this time last season when the injury list was just an embarrassment, where we were asking ourselves so many times on the United stand, what is this medical department even fit for? And just in terms of Manchester United as well, we've been down this road so many times, and just when you think you've turned a corner, bang, you know, it's setback after setback. The current injury list at this club, Mason Mount, of course he is. Malacia, again, yes, of course he is. Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire added to that list after the game against Aston Villa. He obviously limped off. Mazraoui now is going to be out for a couple of weeks. Lenny Yoro, which again you can put down to a bit of bad luck, only just joined the club. In terms of what the injury was, he's not even been at Manchester United that long to have been in the medical department in and around that kind of thing. But there's 3 players from the international break, which is obviously happening at this moment in time, United players, in Mainu, Garnacho and Ahmad, who have all withdrawn from their respected international duty this week. Now, the one thing you would hope with Mainu, Garnacho and Ahmad, that this is precautionary. You do not want to be getting an update where you are hearing that these 3 players are going to be missing for a couple of weeks. And again, some people might argue and say, well, Kev, man, in fairness, you know, a lot of these players have been missing all season. What difference will it make? But Kobbie Mainoo, Garnacho, Ahmad, they're all massive, massive players. Massive players at this club. I'm just going to get my chat up here. Yeah, thank you very much. But yeah, as I say, the actual Mainoo, Garnacho, Ahmad, you would hope that these players are being wrapped up in cotton wool. They need to be put to one side. And this is where Alex Ferguson had so many kind of wars with international teams and international managers, because he didn't want his players going and playing in silly friendlies and getting injured. And to an extent, we will not know the extent until after these international games or this international sort of break, who's going to be coming back fully fit for United. But as I say, the current injury list is a major, major concern. It really is. You are back into the territory of last season, where the season, you could almost say it was written off in some senses. People who subscribe to the theory that Erik ten Hag got it sort of tight last season, should we say, because of them injuries, especially to the back line. You know, this is somewhere that Erik ten Hag is trying to experiment. You know, why is he, how is he even experimenting? You know, we're talking about a manager here who has spent over £600 million in the transfer market. Players that he wanted, players that he wants in this team, defenders. You know, with the exception of Lenny Yoro, you can look at Martinez and De Ligt as a prime example of last weekend against Aston Villa. You know, what does he do? He reverts back to Johnny Evans. He reverts back to Harry Maguire. You know, why did he do that? Why did he do that? He did it because his job was on the line, and he knew that he could count on them 2 players. And it sounds absurd. You would never have even imagined in his wildest dreams that Erik ten Hag, and Erik ten Hag is a tinkerman, no doubt about it. You know, people used to say that about Ranieri. You know, he is really starting to tinker with this team. But the worrying thing is, and anybody that watches the Thursday night show will know that I've been very pro Erik ten Hag. I've wanted to see how he gets on, working under this structure, working under Ineos, getting the help that he deserves, because we know that when Sir Jim Ratcliffe come in, he said that Erik ten Hag was trying to do everything. You know, he's even trying to fix the roof. You know, clearly he wasn't, but he just said that, being sarcastic, you know, as if, you know, he's trying to do everything on his own. We're getting the right people in at this club to give him a helping hand. He's not helping himself at this moment in time, and I don't mind, you know, saying that. You do get to a point with the manager, and there's been a lot of speculation this week. We had the meeting on Tuesday, the shareholders meeting. This meeting, it was already penciled in. Yet the media and everybody has jumped on this, that this is the meeting that will end Erik ten Hag. But at the same time, I'd be very surprised if one of the topics in this supposed six-hour meeting was not that of the manager. And what direction is this club going in? Because even myself, Kev, who sat here and said, let's see how it goes. I even said I'd give it to Christmas. We find ourselves in October now. And when you weigh up the pros and cons or whatever of Erik ten Hag, we can keep going down this kind of avenue of, you know, it took Arteta time to get it right at Arsenal. We can give him the injuries from last season. You can even go down, you know, that he's not had Højlund fully fit from the start of the season. But it's wearing thin because the negatives are really outweighing the positives for Erik ten Hag. And once that starts happening, once you've spent over 600 million in the transfer market, once you're not starting these players and they're sat on the bench that you've spent and invested mega money on, the likes of Antony, De Ligt, Martinez, they're not even your guys anymore. And when the chips were down and your job was on the line at Villa Park, and it was very well put out there in the media, you reverted back and went with the people that you knew would get the job done. You know, it wasn't pretty. We certainly didn't go out to win that game. For me, Erik ten Hag just went out and it was defensive. I'm not saying it was a defensive masterclass, but he went out there defending for his life to save his job. And that is not sustainable. I would rather get beat and play entertaining football. I'd rather be involved in a bit of a thriller or something. You pay your money, you go to the game, you want to be entertained. And what Erik ten Hag reverted back to there was just, it's a defence mechanism, that he's gone into. He's gone into his shell, and it was defend at all costs. And yeah, I mean, patience is wearing thin in the fan base. Again, let me know if you want to get super chatting, you want to get your comment read out. Let me know exactly where you are with Erik ten Hag. It's certainly something that we will readdress and get back to. But another player that was on international duty, Lisandro Martinez, the RG Butcher. Just mentioned him again, but there was an update from earlier on today that said there's a physical concern with Lisandro Martinez that's not leaving him in good shape. Which again, when I read this, I was thinking, bloody hell, man, injury after injury, here we go again. What's up with Martinez? You know, that's all we need. But the current update that I can bring you, and again, there's a physical concern with Lisandro Martinez that's not leaving him in good shape. You know, what does that even mean? It's good to get some context. And our very own Ryan, who works here at the United Stand, from a very good source, I can tell you that. Can't tell you who, but I can tell you that very positive news. So it kind of shoots down this negative. Like I say, on the Thursday night show, just try to, you know, cancel out negatives with positives and all that. But Ryan tweeted or put on X, however you want to roll these days, and said, positive news. Lisandro Martinez is fit and fully available to play for Argentina and United. He is not injured or currently carrying any pain. Scaloni is managing the workload of several players, and everything indicates that Lika will rest tonight. against Venezuela, so he will likely get his game on Tuesday against Bolivia and return to Carrington following that, fit and ready to play. Thank you very much to Ryan for that update. Like I say, I can tell you it's from a very, very good source, so it's kind of shot down. People do use these international breaks, certainly to pump out sort of stories about United, and the Tuesday meeting was a classic example of that. As I've just mentioned, people were waiting for news to come out when, in theory, there probably wasn't news to tell, because that meeting had been lined up for months. It's something that they always do. So I think people were just trying to put two and two together. And you know yourself, the journalists didn't have a Scooby-Doo what was going on. It was all guesswork, and I think I wouldn't be surprised. Literally sitting on the fence, as I would say. There was nobody putting the neck out and saying he's gone, he's sacked, he's staying. It was all just a bit of cat and mouse. It was, you know, and like I say, if you're old enough like me, I know I look young and all that, and good looking, but I've seen it. I've seen it all. We've won the lot, you know, we're Man United, and we've stopped for the minute. We'll get back there one day. But positive news in one sense is the fact that Lisandro Martinez is not injured. We do not need more players like this added to that list. But Lisandro Martinez, again, you know, I don't want to see players injured, but there was a reason he didn't play at Villa Park, and it does make me laugh when I hear that, yeah, he rested him against Aston Villa, you know. Bit of Peter Griffin from Family Guy. I feel this laugh will come out a few times this evening, because Lisandro Martinez wasn't rested the same way that De Ligt wasn't rested. You know, you tell me somebody in that team that deserves a rest at this moment in time. Anyone that doesn't start for Manchester United is dropped. You know, we're down to the bare bones. Ten Hag has lost his way completely. In-game management's terrible. Doesn't change the formation. Swaps players like for like. Leaves the wrong players out. Spent 600 million. What more can I say? Honestly, I am at that point after the Tottenham game where I look at this team and I'm just like, what? You know, I'm like your man off EastEnders where I've got nothing left. You know, I'm just honest. I've seen it so many times. We are getting to that point with this manager. We are. We will. I've seen it with Solskjaer. I've seen it with Rangnick, Mourinho, Van Gaal, David Moyes, whoever it is. It always goes the same way. And yes, you can look at the players. Harry Maguire mentioned it about looking in the mirror. Players have to take accountability. That's all sound... not a problem, whatever. It's a nice thing to say, but unless you're actually doing it, then the book will stop with the manager. And if the manager can't get the best out of the players, then you live and die by the decisions that you make as a manager. And if you are not making the right decisions, if you have not got the big balls to make the big calls, then it's going to cost you your job. And in this sort of scenario, if Erik ten Hag loses his job, he's got nobody else to blame except himself. You know, I can sit here, I've sat here banging on about give him time and that. There comes a time when there is time for change, but we will have to see how it pans out. My personal opinion is I still think he will be here at Christmas. I wouldn't put it past him getting a few results to see that through to around the Christmas period. But again, is it sustainable? Get your comments into the comment section. I'd be really, really interested to know what you lot are thinking. Let me just have a look. Simon says, did you see Lindelof at left back last season? He got ripped to bits. Can't be an option. That's going back to what I was just saying before on the actual injury, shall we call it injury crisis? Because a lot of them players on the list are not... I mean, we can't say Luke Shaw, Malacia are more kind of long-term injuries at United. Mason Mount is Mr. Injury. You know, I think he's been injured a hell of a lot more than what he's played for this club. Maguire, Mazraoui, Yoro, Mainu, Garnacho, Ahmad. It is. And again, I mean, the players that are away on international duty during this time, and these are players that could, obviously, fingers crossed, they don't return with an injury. But the list of players that are away on international duty at this moment in time are Victor Lindelof, Bayinda, Matthias de Ligt, Joshua Zirkzee, Christian Eriksen, Rasmus Højlund, Dalot, Bruno Fernandes, Lisandro Martinez, Manuel Ugarte and Andre Onana. So there's a lot of players there. Again, we will have to reassess this after the international break and see exactly where we are with that one. But in keeping with the kind of, because I've not been on for a couple of weeks on the old Thursday night show talking obviously about Ten Hag, I did mention earlier that this figure is being bandied about, that 17 million will be the fee that Manchester United will have to pay to Erik Ten Hag. And in my opinion, if Manchester United if Ineos want best in class and they decide that Erik Ten Hag is not that man, then they will pull the rug from under Ten Hag's feet. So you don't need to... I know these Erik Ten Hag outers, they're very, emotionally driven, very quick to shoot you down if you say, give the manager time, which, what's wrong with that? I've grown up with this mentality, so I don't know any different. And when the greatest manager in the history of football, in Sir Alex Ferguson, when he stood on that pitch in 2013 against Swansea, the last time that Manchester United lifted the Premier League trophy, and I was in the crowd, and he turned and said, your job now is to back your new manager. Who am I to argue with the greatest manager of all time? So I've had that installed in me from 2013, and I backed every single manager. But don't get me wrong, I'd get to a point. Yes, of course. It's like any person. I've got a pressure point when I get to it, and I can understand that it's not working. But you try telling somebody that he's staunch Erik Ten Hag out. It's very, very difficult because you can't argue with them, you can't debate. You ask them, who do you want in as manager then? That seems to be a good one. Oh, well, I don't know. Brilliant. So we'll sack Erik Ten Hag, and the kind of thing at the moment, or the groovy kind of thing, just seems to be give it to Ruud van Nistelrooy. He's waiting in the wings. Oh, well, brilliant. We've not been here before with Ryan Giggs and Michael Carrick and this kind of, ex-player thing that comes in. How did they work out? Not too well, did they? But, on Erik Ten Hag, like I say, once Ineos decide what they want to do, they will do it. I don't believe... They are a ruthless outfit. They've got all the big names in now, so I'd be very, very surprised if that meeting on Tuesday, that there wasn't a mention of that. I can't imagine for 1 minute it wouldn't have been mentioned. You surely would have had a show of hands, and, the likes of Barada or whoever it's going to be, there's going to be some pullback at this moment in time. I'd be very, very worried, even if they weren't asking the questions. If they weren't asking the questions I just put forward to you before, when I was saying, on my list of negatives on kind of Erik Ten Hag, and I'm saying, where are we now? I mean, it was a big kind of list. And yeah, well, we talk about style of play, that there is a style of play at Manchester United, but it's just not what we want to see. There's so many players off the boil. There's so many players not responding. The tactical, the in-game plan is not working. It clearly isn't working. And when he needs to change the formation, he doesn't do it. And once you get to that point, especially with the home crowd, I feel that there was a big, big sway against Spurs. 3-0 against Spurs, the manner of the defeat. Second time this season we've defeated 3-0. Obviously the other team was the Scousers. Hot spit on them Scouse things. But yeah, it's not sustainable. At this minute, I look and I actually think that we've actually beaten the teams that we should have beaten this season, and that scares the life out of me. We finished 8th in the Premier League last season, 8th. And the teams that have beaten us this season, your likes of Brighton, Liverpool, Tottenham, we've beaten Fulham and Southampton, and sometimes I sit there. when I'm having a glass of wine, just sat on my own, thinking about things, and I think, this is our level. We finished 8th last season. We've beaten Fulham. We've beaten Southampton, the new boys in the league, because that's where we're at. And it absolutely scares the life out of me. The players that he's brought in as well, this is one thing he has to be accountable for. If you're giving over 600, more than £500 million in transfer funds, the least you want to see on your return for that is performances on the pitch, entertainment for the supporters. And if you're not delivering that, by God, you're in trouble. Massive, massive trouble. I always said with Erik ten Hag, 2 seasons in, right, after that, the honeymoon period is well and truly over. This was the season for me where he really has to do something. And when I say do something, I mean, I want to see over a sustained 38-game Premier League season, I need to see massive, massive improvement in the quality of the football. And we're going backwards. We have literally sleptwalked into this Premier League season, and it's getting away from us. There's people that are saying, oh, we're not that far off the top 4. We are closer to relegation than what we are, you know, if you look at it that way. And that's where the wake-up call comes. But again, Kev's not going to be making the decision. The decision is for Ineos. And maybe one of the things that they are looking at is this £17 million fee. Who knows? They might be looking and thinking, well, where do we offset that if we sack the manager? PSR, trying to get into them regulations and play it by the books. It is a lot of money. But I always said at the time when Erik ten Hag got this contract, it wasn't a new contract. There was no show of faith in Erik ten Hag. So this is why I'm trying to say, if Ineos decide they want to pull the rug from under Ten Hag's feet, they will go and do it. They will be ruthless. Yes, they might listen to fans like us, you know, that run polls and say Erik ten Hag in, Ten Hag out. They have spent a hell of a lot of money. They've invested a lot of money. And maybe they want to save face. Maybe they don't want to be seen. I don't think a Manchester United manager has ever been sacked this early on in a season. Maybe they don't want to be them people. But for the good of Manchester United, they will have to do something. Because like I say, it's not sustainable at this moment in time. So again, let me know exactly what you lot are thinking in the chat. I'm just going to have a quick look into there. Is anybody agreeing with me? I see a Kev Army in capital letters. That'll do for me, sunshine. Somebody said, are you not watching England? Of course I'm not. Of course I'm not. I'm dedicated money. I'm trying to, you know, bring them Manchester United news. Never mind England. Never mind that shite. Each to their own. I would have thought you'd have been watching the United stand and maybe, you know, listening to Kevin, watching England, if that's what you are into. But listen, it's up to you. Democracy, as we always say here on the United Stand. You do what you've got to do. Story number 4. I love this. I should have done it in some kind of order. You know, we've had 1, 2, 3. Number 4, this story, and I feel like the Peter Griffin Family Guy voice is definitely, all the laughter, is definitely going to come back into play here. But the 4th story, it's relevant as Manchester United fans from what we're hearing today. Again, it is an international break. Some of the news that you get is... it can be amusing, to say the least. But we are hearing that Gareth Southgate has officially ruled himself out of the running for the Manchester United job should the club opt to make a change by revealing he will not return to management for at least the next year. And that's coming in from Ducker from the Telegraph, at Telegraph Ducker. It's coming out again. Belter, man. Gareth Southgate. And this is, I keep trying to say to you, man, again, you speak to somebody that is staunch Erik ten Hag out, and I've met some of them. I met a few of them in the pub last Saturday night, and they're writing at me, and I don't mind it. I'll sit and debate like anyone. That's what I'm here to do. I don't mind hearing people's opinions, but when I ask you, well, what would you do? And like I say, the kind of hipster move at this moment in time seems to be bringing Ruud van Nistelrooy, which, again, it might work. Maybe Ruud comes in, totally rips it up. You know, puts Bruno Fernandes on the bench, drops Marcus Rashford, drops a lot of players that aren't performing, and goes with the players that maybe in training are doing it, you know, and he's seeing something from him. Chooses a system. That would help, wouldn't it? Oh, Ten Hag, yeah. Maybe you just, you look at it, rip it up, you go for a new formation, you know, and that changes your style of play. Could you go with 3 at the back, play with wing backs? You know, you probably have got the players to do it. Again, look at a different system, mix it up. But Erik Ten Hag doesn't. You know, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. And that's a bit like where we are with this club at the minute. But in terms of Gareth Southgate, I mean, come on, man. You know, it sent shivers down my spine. I've been on here so many times on a Thursday night when Ten Hag was under pressure, even after the FA Cup final. Some people believe that they should have, even though we won the FA Cup final, we should have got rid of him at that time. And that's fair enough. It's all about opinions. You know, if you really want to go down that route, the time probably to get rid of him would have been after being beaten 7-0 by Liverpool, because you shouldn't be beaten 7-0 by Liverpool. But Gareth Southgate effectively ruling himself out of the joining Manchester United or taking the Manchester United job. It's a little bit of news, but again, I'm more glad than anything. Potter mentioned in the same breath. I put them both in the same category. Why would you want an ex-England manager who had one of the best England squads that we've seen in, a decade, whatever? You know, the best players from one country, and yet puts Foden out on the left, you know, plays Bellingham out of position. And we're looking at this team, and every single person saying the same thing. But Gareth Southgate's not seeing that. You know, a bit like Erik Ten Hag at the minute. Some people will be saying, why is Bruno playing? Why is Rashford playing? Why is Martinez playing? Why is De Ligt playing? We're asking questions, and that's where we're up to. That's where we're up to at the minute. But Southgate, obviously the other one, and let me know in the chat as well. I mean, in terms, if you're sat here at home now and you're watching this and you're thinking, right, sexy Kev, not that anyone's ever called me that, but you say, right, I'll give you a name. What name do you want? Do you want Southgate? Am I just way off with this one, where you're going to go, actually, Kev, Gareth Southgate could work at United? Because from what I last remember, he did absolute dog shit at Middlesbrough. Did he not bring them down? He's then managed like England. Like I say, the best crop of players. Should have won a World Cup. Should have won a Euros. Didn't. Failed. And resigned. And that's pretty much Gareth Southgate in a nutshell. And we're expecting him to go from international football, which is totally different, to the day-to-day workings of being a Premier League manager, where you actually have to sign players, you know, and that is a massive thing. Gareth Southgate at England had the players at his disposal. He could pick from the best English players. He's not going to be able to do that, and he hasn't got a proven track record in that. So again, unless somebody wants to sit there and say, actually, Southgate would be good, maybe Potter as well. Would you see that as an option? Because if you're throwing it into this kind of three, that's Southgate, Potter and Tuchel, then Tuchel's head and shoulders above them two. So if you're holding me down, you know, you're pinning me down, I need an answer off you, Kev. Oh, okay. Well, out of them three, it's going to be Tuchel without a shadow of a doubt. He's got Champions League pedigree, worked with top players. But the thing with Tuchel coming in is you're certainly not going to get that longevity aspect unless he totally sort of takes us all by surprise. And he's like, yes, I like this place. You know, I will stay for many years. Rubbish accent, that. I can't see it. Maybe that's, do you know what? Maybe that is something we need to get away from. I mentioned earlier about being on the pitch, not the pitch, when Sir Alex Ferguson was on the pitch, and he told us, you know, your job now is to support your new manager, get behind your new manager. Again, they have shocking impersonations this evening. I think I just heard producer Greg laughing in the background. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the manager, We had Sir Alex Ferguson at the helm for 26 years. You know, a lot of people my kind of age didn't know much other than a Sir Alex Ferguson. So you had that stability at a club. But I think long gone are these days now where you are going to have a manager in situ for 26 years, especially it's a cutthroat kind of industry. It's certainly results-based. You know, you've seen managers managing a few games and they're given the bullet. You will not survive. And at a club like Manchester United, who I always say, and I'm not just saying it because I am a Manchester United fan, but I think our fan base are just the best in the world, especially when it comes to backing managers. You look at how other clubs operate and hound managers out of clubs. Yet, you know, the very, very hardcore of United fans, until the bitter end, and they will accept it, but they will tend to get behind the manager. And I think this is something that is installed from Sir Alex Ferguson being at Manchester United for 26 years. I believe that them Manchester United fans and myself, we look at that period of dominance and it did come down to a structure and having that manager at the club. And since that has gone, I mean, it's totally fallen on its arse. We've won trophies, but since then we have not been competitive in the Premier League, and that's where we want to be. We want to be back in the Champions League, but at the same time, I know that football, it works in cycles, and I'm certainly not spoiled enough or whatever. I've seen the great times of this club. Trebles, doubles, double-doubles, the absolute lot, World Club Cups. But I would never sit here and say that, you know, and say that United should be at the top. We should be winning leagues. We should be winning Champions League, because you have no divine right to do that. But at the least this football club should be is competitive. And we are years off it. The last couple of years under Erik ten Hag, you'd look at making progress, baby steps, whatever. We are absolutely, the last few games, results, performances, we're well off it. And I mean years away. Because Manchester City won't stop still. They won't stop investing. They won't stop getting better. Yes, maybe one day when Pep Guardiola leaves, their dynasty might fall apart, and this is where it works in cycles. Klopp's gone, Schlopp's in now. You know, Chelsea look like they're resurging and look like they could be half decent again. But like I say, clubs continue to move forward. We're stagnating after Erik ten Hag has spent over £500 million on a squad. And that is the main kind of worry for me. But let me know exactly, you know, where you are. Where are you at? Where's your head at? Breakout, man. Breakout Thursday nights. Where is your head at? With just awaiting Kev's Welsh accent now, says Gavin in the chat. Gavin from the Valleys. What about your boy? Yeah, rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. Could do this all night. Sing it, lad, Kev, says Mark Jackson. Thanks. But yeah, I mean, it is International Week. There's not many stories that come out of it, but in terms of Manchester United, there's always a story. And you know, I'm going to bring this one in. Well, we're on the topic of bringing in news stories. The most bizarre one of the week come from the Sun, which again, wherever you sit, I mean, I probably would wipe my ass on the Sun if I was desperate, if I was in one of them situations. But I wouldn't have the Sun newspaper in the toilet with me anyway, so just forget about that. But Erik ten Hag demanded Man United build £200,000 wall at Carrington as under fire boss aims to keep training sessions secret. Again, I mean, Brian Griffin's coming. Peter Griffin's coming out again from Family Guy here. Why would Erik ten Hag build a wall? Let's get this one straight. At Carrington, to keep training sessions secret, when every Thursday we're playing in the Europa League, whatever Saturday, Sunday in the Premier League, you can just go along. You don't have to go along. You can watch it on TV. You can see exactly how Manchester United play. It is not very hard. It doesn't need to be kept a secret. You know, building a wall. We're going down Donald Trump kind of territory here with Erik ten Hag. I can't get my head round it, man. Somebody explain to me how even somebody... And I'm not saying this story is true. Obviously, I've just said it's from the Sun, but £200,000 to build a wall at Carrington so that people to keep training sessions a secret. Wow. I'm not having it, honestly. The Sun, you hang your heads in shame. There is not a chance, right? You've just spent over 600 million. You spent over £500 million on players. And then you have the audacity to go and knock back on that door and say, actually, I need another 200k to build a wall. Imagine that. And I'd be like, build a wall for what? To knock a ball against? No, to keep training sessions secret. To keep training sessions secret, you absolute chancer. What are you on about, man? Like I say, you only have to watch United play and you figure us out within a couple of minutes. That's basically what every team that rocks up at Old Trafford. Every team that rocks up knows that they've got a great chance of coming away with 3 points. Minimum 1. We're either sort of winning or losing at this moment in time. That's not winning or losing, drawing or losing at this minute in time. That's the kind of road that we're going down. Let's just see what the chat think. The impression, yeah. So Kara's saying that I sounded like Yoda. Yeah, we'll leave the impressions for 1 minute. But the next thing, let me have a look. Yeah, I mean, let me know on the managers again. If you want to throw it into the chat, I want to know, Thomas Tuchel. Would Tuchel be the answer? Would he be the answer? You know, has he got the kind of authority? He sure has. He goes in, and again, like I said earlier, maybe we need to get away from the romanticism of having another manager that stays at Manchester United for so long. I mean, worked for Chelsea to an extent, but again, I think it's just club values. I think we like the fact of thinking that a manager could be here for what? Even say like 10 years, build some kind of dynasty, but we're falling short. We are falling short this moment in time. What I will do, I want to bring you lot in on this one. We're going to get a poll going and we'll run through each individual player. I've gone with, I said I was going to get you interactive, so I'm going to bring you lot in. You probably got one eye in the game as well, so it's a tough crowd. It's a tough one, tough gig for Kev tonight. We'll go on Erik ten Hag's top 3 signings, should we say? And you're going to love this because I've put the 3 down and I'm going to probably get hounded out of it. And somebody might think that Ricky has invaded the Thursday night show. Maybe Ricky's in the earpiece telling me what to say. Best signings, and I'm probably being slightly reactionary to the way that this season's going, but I did have to look at the players that he signed and how they performed over that spell of time. And I'm also, I don't know, I'm talking like that. I'm taking into consideration as well the transfer fee. So Greg, hopefully you can get this put into the chat. So top 3, we'll put top signing. And your options are Mazraoui, Martinez, and Johnny Evans. That's why I said before, I said Ricky could be in the air, but hear me out on this one and get voting. We'll spend a few minutes on this and then we will move on to Ten Hag's worst signings. So that's an interesting one as well. Let's get the poll going. I'll see what the actual, let's get the vibe in the chat room, see what's going down. Let's see. Evans, look, I told you there's going to be laughing faces, but you have to hear me out here. Ten Hag's best signing. Is it Mazraoui, Evans or Martinez? Just get voting. You know, there's no point people in the chat just laughing. You know, down with that kind of thing, as they say on Father Ted. I want you to cast your vote because I want you. I was going into a bit of a song then. I want to know what you're thinking. Next Thursday, come in sober. I am not drunk. That's not me. That's Goldbridge tonight. Right, top 3 Ten Hag signings, and hear me out on this one. So, Mazraoui. first of all. This is in no order. You are going to get to choose this one. I am saying Mazraoui because he cost Manchester United £13 million. And I know that there'll be some people in the chat going, whoa, 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 where's Casemiro? Where's Casemiro, man? All right, well, Casemiro cost 70 million. You know, he played well for what, about a season and a half. There's been an incredible, incredible drop-off. We're talking the full package here. We're talking value for money. 13 million from Bayern Munich for Mazraoui. He's started, he's hit the ground running at the club this season. I think he's played really, really well. And that's why I've thrown him in as a contender for one of Ten Hag's best signings. The next one, Lisandro Martinez, 48 million from Ajax. Again, this season has not covered himself in much glory. Had a bit of a shaky start to his Manchester United career. There is no doubt about that. You had people like Jamie Carragher, you know, he's too small, too small. Rubbish again. Yeah, you know, we went down that route. And then when he sort of squared up to Jamie Carragher by the pitch, when he was doing his little bit for Sky Sports, he wasn't actually that small, was he, Carragher? Yeah, he wasn't that small. But yeah, Lisandro Martinez, he's, apart from this season, again, there's been a drop-off, but it's harsh. A lot of these players dropped off this season. I mean, for Christ's sake, Dalot is probably the only one that can cover himself in a bit of glory where you look and think, well, fair play. You know, you drop in minimums, let's say 7s every week. You've been consistent against Tottenham, fair enough, you had a bit of a nightmare, but loads of players have. Martinez was pretty much pivotal to a lot of United's good defending last season. A large part of that was his partnership with Varane. When Varane was available, Varane was class, man. I miss Varane, I really do. I know he's retired now, but what a player he was for United. You know, when we actually really needed him. That cup final against Manchester City, when you heard that Varane, you know, was in that team, we talk about him being a Rolls Royce. It was just like, yeah, he's got this. You just felt so much secure. You know, yeah, so much secure. And Johnny Evans, yeah, I know you're all laughing. This is where this drinking accusation is coming in to the chat. Don't drink next week before you come into the studio. It's a nonsense, as Roy Keane would say. Sober as a judge here, man. Sober as a United Stand presenter. I'm throwing in Johnny Evans because Johnny Evans cost absolutely nothing. So let that one sink in for starters on a free. He's 6 years old. After the game against Aston Villa, which Ten Hag chose him to play, he dropped Martinez and Delite. However you lot want to patch this one up and sugarcoat it, them two players, his guys that he spent an absolute fortune on, he dropped them. When the going got tough, Johnny Evans and Maguire come into that team, and Johnny Evans gets Man United. If we had 11 Johnny Evanses on that pitch, it would make it so much better. The fact that after the Aston Villa game, Johnny Evans said, you know, playing for this club is an absolute privilege. Nobody else gets it, man. You know, even you can hear Rashford saying, Withenshaw, Red, brought up United fan and all that. He's from a different generation to Johnny Evans. And I just wish that Johnny Evans was 20 years old. He's a leader. The age he's at now, obviously, he's not going to start every week. What a fantastic player to have around. You know, I think players that respect him, the younger players will certainly look up to him. You can learn stuff from him, but at the same time, that's why I wish he was 20 years old. What a player you'd have on your hands at that stage. So you've got your 3 players. We've shut down the vote. Everybody's having a right laugh. I'm throwing Johnny Evans in. He was for free. And after the performance, a man of the match performance at 36 against Aston Villa, a team that everybody said that they were going to whoop us, and we didn't. We got a 0-0 draw. Let's see where we're at with the voting. Right. We've shut down the vote, and I can officially bring to... I tell you what, this is pretty tight, man. Where's it gone now? You fraud. It's gone up there. It's disappeared on me. Yeah, let me have a look. Just give me 1 second here. All these accusations will come out that Kev's been drinking again. But here we go. Ten Hag's best signings. So in third place, yeah, expected that. Tried selling it to you. I met people like, he tried to sell snow to the Eskimos, this kid. Johnny Evans on 23%. So, you know what I mean? It wasn't a landslide. There's 640 votes. In second place, Mazraoui on 33% and Martinez on 42%. So, you know, it wasn't as clean cut as everybody was making out. Everybody was laughing at Kev saying Johnny Evans. Maybe you did listen to a few things I said. I'm not here to preach, entirely up to you. Nick James in with the super chat. I think it's the first one of the evening, so thank you very much. Says Phil Jones interview shows players are problem. I think that's a great point that you make. I think we know from what a lot... I tell you what, listen to what Christian Eriksen said after the FC20 game. Christian Eriksen said, what was it? FC20 wanted it more than us. And we talk about a mentality and cultural kind of issue at this club. That was the point where my ears stuck up like a dog. I was like, they wanted it more than us. And at the risk of sounding like Gary Neville, you know, we're Manchester United. You know, you can't have a team like FC20 coming to Old Trafford and wanting it more. Right, I did say that we'd follow up Ten Hag's best signing. We've agreed. And listen, it was manipulated slightly by me because I've got to choose the three. But we could be here all night, man, trying to break it down into a three. I'm sure you would have people saying, where's Højlund? And again, I'm going off what I've seen. Value for money. Højlund cost a lot of money. Casemiro, whatever. Let's go into the worst signings. We'll get the poll up. We've got 6 minutes to nail this one down. I promise you there are no surprises in this one. Or are there? Let's find out now. Ten Hag's worst signings. I'm going to give you 3 players. So the first one is Mason Mount. And again, we'll go through them after it. The second one, he's Casemiro. He's our Brazilian hero in the red and the white. And the third one is the fidget spinner himself. It's Antony. You've got him locked. I feel like I'm on a quiz show here hosting it. We've got the 3 of them locked in here. It's up to you at home now to get out your button. And finger that button of who you think has been Erik Ten Hag's worst signing. Is this one going to be just as close as Erik Ten Hag's best signing? Bit of bants here, bit of fun on a Thursday night. I like to bring that to you. It just shows, you know, I'm not drunk. I prepared this at home. I got in from work, started preparing. I'm seeing a few shouts for Antony already in the live chat. I'll have a little vote on this as well. Might as well get involved. Why not? Why should you lot have all the fun? Yeah, you shithouses. I think I'll get involved. And I'm going to say... yeah, I'll go with that. Keep getting in the live chat. Antony versus Mount. That's Ron United is saying. Jordan just says all bad. We know they're all bad, Jordan. Get your vote in. Everybody else get in there. We want Mount. Mount's a worst signing. I like this. We're getting debate going. We're getting people absolutely rattled in the comment section. People like Jordan are just saying they're all bad. What's the point of doing this poll? It's ridiculous. It's not ridiculous, mate. We're trying to find out the viewers here this evening who they think, well, the United Stand community, who you lot think is Erik Ten Hag's worst signing. Let me know in the comments as well if I've missed anyone out there. Maybe a bit of a curveball. Mount is never available, says Sean. I hear you, sister. I really do. He never is he? He's always... a lot of people... Again, I don't know how this one will, but we'll take it through to the hour mark if we keep going through. Again, I am having a look through the United Stand Ultra Chat. I do like that. I got blocked. Yeah, well... You play with feathers, you get your ass tickled, mate. That's what I would say to you. You didn't get blocked for no reason, did you? You're probably saying, who's this guy who looks like Teabag on a Thursday night, sat in the United Stand hot seat? I want Mark Goldbridge. Bring me Goldbridge back. Told you earlier, man. Goldbridge is having a few drinks. He's having a well-earned evening off. Don Savage says, big up, Kev. Big up yourself, sunshine. I like this. Let's see. We've got a super chat. I love this. Here we go. Javed says, worst signing has been De Jong. Completely anonymous. De Jong. Go on, mate. I love that. Are you trying to catch me out where I'd say, yeah, De Jong? Completely anonymous. Well, he has because, yeah, we didn't sign him. He was another Wesley Sneijder. Are you old enough to remember that? Remember them dark days when it was Twitter? Twitter went into meltdown that Wesley Sneijder was coming to Manchester United. Never happened, just like De Jong. But Javed, thank you very much for the super chat. It says we should celebrate your first ever super chat. How should we celebrate? Celebrate good times. Javed! There you go. I'm here for your entertainment and your entertainment only. You've not got me for much, much longer now. You're probably thinking, thank God for that. God, this guy talks some shit. But I hope you appreciate what we are actually doing here. Nick James is in there. He says, I hope Erik ten Hag pulls through. Would like to see Yoro and Shaw back starting with Ugarte and Casemiro behind Bruno. We are missing a left back majorly now. We are. I know we've thought that, Nick, that he was going to come back to kind of bite him on the arse. And this is where you have to address the squad. He knew about the injury to Malacia. Was a kind of long-term one at that time. So you need 2 players for each position, don't you? We need strength in numbers. We've not had that. And the Luke Shaw injury then has just highlighted a major problem. Yes, Dallow's done all right on the left, but he isn't a left back. But there'll be an interesting battle for right back, especially when everybody is fit, because I've just said before, I put Mazraoui in my sort of top 10 Hag signings in that list. I think he's definitely in the conversation. So it will come down to a point where Mazraoui and Dallow are going, right, mate, you know, who's getting this right back spot then? You know, I'm not giving up my shirt. I'm certainly not giving up my... Hey, come on then. Let's have a bit. Well, hopefully it doesn't come to blows and stuff like that. But we'll see. We want this club to be competitive. We want them to be fighting competition for places. That's what it's all about. Let's have a look what you lot are saying. I love this. It really is one of the... I always say it's just like opening up Pandora's box, opening up a right can of worms. But I did ask you, Ten Hag's worst signing. We've already identified, or from this evening, we're saying that Lisandro Martinez is the best signing out of the 3 players I give you. Yeah, do you know what? I bet the United stand this evening has been more entertaining than watching England. So, if you've been choosing to watch England over Kev, then shame on you. Absolutely. Where are you? As Delia Smith would say. Let's be having you. So Ten Hag's worst signing. Let's shut down the vote. Is it going to be a landslide? I think personally it's a major one between 2 players. It's a major one. I've got put on the side there. But Ten Hag's worst signing. In 3rd place, Casemiro. A fan's favourite for sure. Not playing that well at the minute. People saying his legs are broken. I hope they're not. I didn't mean broken. Don't quote me on that one. That they've gone. Same thing, I suppose. But no, he can still move, just not as quick as he did. Casemiro, 3%. So he's in 3rd place. Ten Hag's worst signing. If you just join us in here now at this moment in time, maybe you just clicked in on YouTube and thought, let's see what's cracking off in here. Yes, the suspense is killing me too, but I can bring to you that in 2nd place was Mason Mount with 41%, and Anthony has to be. I thoroughly agree. Give us a virtual touch there on the screen, the lot of you that voted. And I take no great sort of enjoyment from doing that and saying, yeah, brilliant. You know, we can officially say, because it's not official, it's just us having a bit of banter, as Richard Keys would say. It was just banter. That's what we're doing here this evening. But Anthony, it was closely followed by Mason Mount, and Casemiro really wasn't even in the conversation. But again, I made Mason Mount not had that much game time, but I think a lot of people are just fed up with the injuries. And was he a player that Eric Ten Hag really needed for £60 million. Maybe that money could have been spent better off. What I am going to do, Gavin is saying you love it, Kev. I do. I love Thursday nights. I always tell you, when I'm not here, I miss it. I miss reading the comments. There's a structure to the show, but you lot do guide me through, and I do thank you for that. Oh, the voice nearly went then. That's what you get for talking for so long. Javed is hitting back. He's back in there. Stopped mid-PMO to watch this. Thank you very much. Yeah. I expect nothing less, mate, Javed. And thank you very much. We did celebrate your first ever Super Chat. If you missed that, you can go back. But Manchester United's next game is at home to Brentford. Do you know what? I'm looking forward to that one. Who's doing a watch-along? Got the text yesterday. I'm not sure how that will work out. It's not just me. There's something planned for that one, something a little different. But, yeah, we move onwards. We move upwards here on the United stand, breaking boundaries. I would like to say a massive thank you to everybody that has stuck with me through this show. We've covered the news. Well, I say the news stories regarding Manchester United that were out there today. I've thrown in a few sort of trivial things, couple of polls just to get you lot involved, keep you on your toes. It is International Week, so I'll let you get back to get you back to England or whatever it is. But I would just like to say that you've been watching the biggest Man United fan channel in the land. This was the United Stand. Good night.